During family dinner, my phone lit up "Do not react. Walk out." I froze mid-bite. Across the table, my sister nodded. She had the same message. "Smile," she mouthed, "now." 5 minutes later, the house was surrounded. During family dinner, my phone lit up with a message that made my blood run cold. "Do not react. Walk out." I froze mid-bite, my fork halfway to my mouth. Across the table, my younger sister's phone buzzed at the same time. She looked up, gave me the smallest nod, and mouthed one word: "Smile." 5 minutes later, the house was surrounded. Before I tell you what happened, make sure you subscribe to the channel and comment where you're watching from. My name is Lena Ward, I'm 26 years old, and Sunday family dinners have always been a tradition in our house. No matter how busy our lives get, my mom insists we come together for one meal where phones are put away, stories are shared, and everyone feels like part of something steady. For me, it has always been a chance to slow down after long weeks of graduate school. That evening felt like every other Sunday. My mom, Evelyn, had cooked her famous roast chicken. My dad, Martin, carved it with his usual pride. And my sister, Haley, made jokes that had everyone laughing. The house smelled of garlic bread and spices. The table was warm and crowded with food. And for a moment, everything felt normal and safe. Haley, at 24, has always been my opposite. She's bold, quick to laugh, and never afraid to say what she thinks. I've always been the more serious one, the one people call responsible. Despite our differences, we've been close. Growing up, she was the one who stood up for me when others pushed too hard. And I was the one who kept her grounded when she went too far. That bond has always mattered. As we passed dishes around, Mom scolded Haley for piling potatoes too high on her plate. Dad teased me about spending too many nights at the library. It was lighthearted, easy, the kind of family noise that makes you feel safe in the world. I remember thinking that maybe I had taken these dinners for granted. I never imagined that within minutes, everything would change. Because when that message appeared on my phone, all that warmth and laughter turned into something else. An invisible danger sitting at the table with us. My heart thudded in my chest. And even as I tried to laugh along with my family, I knew something terrible was about to happen. The message on my phone glowed like a warning light. "Do not react. Walk out." For a second, I thought maybe it was a wrong number or some cruel joke. But then Haley's phone buzzed. And when she read hers, her smile faded just enough for me to notice. She glanced up, met my eyes, and gave me the smallest nod. Then she mouthed one word: "Smile." I forced my lips into something that looked like a smile, though my stomach was twisting. My fork hovered over my plate as if nothing was wrong. But my hands trembled under the table. I could feel the weight of my heartbeat in my throat. The conversation around me carried on like nothing had changed. My mom laughed at one of Haley's jokes. My dad reached for more bread. And I sat there feeling like the entire world had tilted sideways. I wanted to ask 1,000 questions. Who sent this? Why us? What were we in danger of? But I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. Because the message had been clear. Do not react. Haley leaned back in her chair, still holding her fork, and tilted her head slightly toward me. Under the table, her foot nudged mine. She mouthed again. "It's okay." I didn't believe her. But the calmness in her face helped me keep mine. Then my phone buzzed again. Another message. "Don't run. Don't let them know you know." 5 minutes. 5 minutes? My breath caught in my throat. I looked around the room, searching for something out of place. At first, everything looked normal. The kitchen light glowed. The smell of roast chicken lingered. And my dad was pouring himself a second glass of iced tea. But then I noticed the back door. It was slightly ajar. And for the briefest moment, I thought I saw a shadow shift across it. Panic surged through me. But I held it down. I looked at Haley. She had seen it too. I could tell from the way her eyes flicked toward the door before she returned her attention to her plate. She gave me another small nod. As if to say, "Yes, I see it. Just keep going." My mom, always sensitive to moods, narrowed her eyes at me. "Lena, sweetheart. Are you okay? You look pale." I scrambled for words. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just tired. Long day at school." I forced another smile and shoved a piece of chicken into my mouth to keep from saying anything else. Haley jumped in quickly. "She's just stressing over exams, Mom. Don't worry." She laughed lightly. And the sound, though a little strained, seemed to ease Mom's suspicion. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. My skin prickled as if eyes were on us from just outside the windows. The messages weren't random. Someone knew something. And that someone was trying to keep us alive. The table chatter continued. but my ears tuned out my parents' voices. All I could hear was the pounding of my pulse and the faint buzz of my phone when yet another message arrived. I glanced down. When you hear the knock, go. Stay calm. My heart skipped. A knock? What knock? On the door? On the windows? And go where? Outside? It didn't make sense. But something about the stern, clipped way the words were written made me trust it wasn't a prank. Whoever this was, they were serious. I wanted to grab my mom's hand and tell her we had to leave. I wanted to scream for my dad to call the police. But then I imagined what might happen if I did. If there really was someone outside, waiting for us to panic, then reacting too soon could make everything worse. The warning was clear. Don't let them know you know. Haley's phone buzzed again. She peeked at the screen, her face still frozen in an expression of casual amusement, then lifted her glass of water to her lips. She leaned toward me slightly and whispered, her voice barely a breath. Trust it. I swallowed hard. Trust what? Trust who? But I nodded anyway because I didn't know what else to do. The minutes crawled by, each one stretching longer than the last. I couldn't focus on the food, the laughter, or the warmth of the room. All I could think about was the danger pressing in on us, silent and invisible. I had never felt so helpless, sitting at a table pretending to eat dinner while every instinct in my body screamed at me to run. Then, faint, but sharp, I heard it. A knock. One at the front door. Another at the back. Almost at the same time. My mom froze mid-sentence. My dad's hand stopped halfway to the breadbasket. The whole family turned toward the sound. My phone buzzed again. One final message appeared. Now. The sound of that knock echoed through me like a drumbeat. One at the front. One at the back. It wasn't the casual knock of a neighbor stopping by, or the playful tap of a relative arriving late. It was sharp, deliberate, and in unison. My fork slipped from my fingers and clattered against the plate. My mom startled at the noise, her eyes darting between me and the door. Who could that be at this hour? She whispered. My dad pushed back his chair, ready to stand. But Haley quickly spoke up. Wait, Dad. Just sit for a second. She smiled like she was joking. But her eyes told me something else. She knew. Another buzz on my phone. I risked a glance under the table. The message glowed across the screen. Stay seated. Do not answer the door. I swallowed hard, my throat dry as sand. I showed the phone to Haley under the table. And she gave the smallest nod. Mom noticed the exchange and frowned. What's going on with you two? She asked, suspicion creeping into her voice. Haley laughed softly, waving her hand. Nothing, Mom. Just an inside joke. She nudged me under the table to play along. So I forced a smile, though my insides were unraveling. The knock came again, harder this time. My dad stood up. I'll get it. Whoever it is, they're not leaving. Panic surged in me. I couldn't let him open that door. I grabbed his wrist before he reached the entryway. Dad, wait. My voice cracked with urgency. He turned. His brow furrowed. What is it, Lena? I scrambled for an explanation that wouldn't sound insane. I don't know. It just feels wrong. Please, just don't open it yet. My mom's voice rose in alarm. Why not? What's going on? Haley jumped in, her tone calm but firm. Look, just trust us, okay? Something's happening, and it's safer if we stay put. My dad stared at us, clearly frustrated. But the seriousness in our faces stopped him from reaching for the doorknob. You two are acting strange. Do you know something we don't? Haley leaned back, putting on a bright smile as if nothing was wrong. Everything's fine. Let's just keep eating. Whoever it is will leave. But I could see the tension in her shoulders. She was buying time. Then my phone buzzed again. I read the new message with shaking hands. Exit through the back door when instructed. Stay calm. Do not alert others yet. My chest tightened. Whoever was sending these messages wanted us to leave quietly. But why only us? Why not warn Mom and Dad? Why not the whole family? I turned to Haley, whispering so low only she could hear. Should we tell them? She shook her head. Not yet. We don't know what's out there. If they panic, we're all in trouble. I hated that she was right. Every instinct told me to protect my parents. But the fear that revealing too much could make things worse gnawed at me. The knock stopped. Silence stretched through the house. My dad sat back down reluctantly, still glaring at the doors. My mom clutched her napkin, her face pale. We sat in that unbearable stillness until my phone buzzed once more. Wait, 30 seconds. Then walk out the back door. Do not run. Smile if anyone looks at you. My heart hammered so loud I thought everyone could hear it. I looked at Haley, who already had her phone angled under the table. She mouthed, "Together." I nodded. I tried to steady my breathing as I pushed back my chair. My mom looked at me curiously. "Where are you going, Lena?" I forced a smile. "Just grabbing some air. Too warm in here." My voice sounded steadier than I felt. Haley stood too. "I'll come with you." She slipped her phone into her pocket like it was nothing, grinning at our parents. "We won't be long." Mom still looked confused, but she didn't argue. Dad muttered something about kids these days and reached again for his glass. Inside, my nerves screamed. But I kept my face calm. My steps measured. Haley walked beside me. Her presence a lifeline. As we headed toward the back door, I glanced once more at my phone. The screen lit with the final instruction. "Now, go." I turned the handle slowly, the hinges creaking softly as the door swung open. The night air hit my face, cool and sharp. Haley grabbed my hand, and together we stepped out into the unknown. That was the moment everything shifted. Inside, our parents sat unaware. Outside, the danger and the truth waited for us. The cool night air stung my skin as Haley and I stepped out the back door. For a moment, I thought the world was holding its breath along with us. The porch light flickered faintly, casting shaky shadows across the yard. My hand clutched hers tightly. Both of us smiling stiffly, as if we were just taking a casual stroll. Just two sisters sneaking out for a chat. But then I saw them. Shapes moving in the darkness. Figures crouched near the edge of the yard. Black silhouettes against the neighbor's fence. My stomach dropped. There were at least 3 men. And even in the dim light, I saw the glint of something metallic. Guns. I froze mid-step. But Haley squeezed my hand. Hard. Her nails digging into my skin. "Smile," she whispered through her teeth. Her lips curved like nothing was wrong. My cheeks burned as I forced my mouth upward again. Every instinct told me to scream. To run back inside. But the warning on my phone pounded in my head. Do not react. Do not run. The men didn't move toward us. They stayed crouched. Watching, waiting. My pulse thundered in my ears. Who were they? Why our house? And then, from the shadows near the driveway, a different light appeared. A small red dot. Blinked twice. Then again. It wasn't from the men. It was coming from across the street, where I spotted the faint outline of a parked car. My phone buzzed at the same time. A new message. Stay calm. Law enforcement is surrounding the property. Walk forward, slowly. I felt dizzy with relief and fear colliding inside me. Law enforcement? Were those men in the yard part of it? Or the danger? I couldn't tell. Haley leaned closer, whispering. Trust it. Just go. So we did. Step by step, we walked down the back steps. Our feet crunching softly on the gravel. My smile felt like it was carved into stone. Stiff and unnatural. I could feel eyes on us. More than just the 3 crouched figures. My skin tingled with the weight of being watched from all directions. Then it happened. Bright beams of light exploded across the yard. Flashlights cut through the darkness, blinding me. Voices shouted all at once, "Police! Drop your weapons! Hands where we can see them!" The men near the fence scrambled. Their movements jerky and frantic. 2 of them tried to dart toward the side gate. But figures in tactical gear surged forward from the shadows, blocking their path. The sharp click of weapons being cocked filled the air. And the men froze, hands lifting reluctantly. I stood there, frozen, clutching Haley's arm. The entire backyard was suddenly alive with officers in dark uniforms. Their flashlights cutting through every corner. One officer rushed past us, his voice steady but urgent. "You're safe. Keep walking toward the light, away from the house." Haley and I stumbled forward, blinking against the brightness. My legs felt weak, as though they could collapse any second. Behind us, the sound of men shouting, officers barking orders, and handcuffs snapping shut filled the air. When we reached the driveway, I finally saw the full scope of it. Police cars lined the street, red and blue lights spinning in the night. Neighbors stood on their porches, watching with wide eyes. Officers swarmed the property, moving with precision, securing every corner of the yard. A female officer approached us quickly. "Are you Lena and Haley Ward?" "Yes," I managed to say, my voice barely working. She nodded. "We've been monitoring a group of armed burglars targeting homes in this area. We intercepted communication that your house was next. You were in immediate danger tonight." My mouth went dry. "They were going to break in while we were at dinner." "Yes," she said firmly. "They planned to enter quietly, use the element of surprise." We had to act fast. The texts came from our surveillance team across the street. They didn't want to alert the suspects too soon. So they contacted you directly. You both did exactly what you needed to do. I staggered, my knees weak. Haley held me upright, her own face pale but determined. We almost didn't believe it, she admitted, her voice shaking. But we listened. The officer's expression softened. That choice may have saved your lives. If you had panicked or tried to run, it could have gone very differently. I turned, looking back at our house. Through the windows, I could see my parents still at the table. Faces pressed against the glass. Confusion and fear etched across them. They hadn't known what was happening until the lights and sirens exploded outside. As the burglars were led away in handcuffs, their faces hidden under dark hoods, I felt a strange mix of rage and relief. Rage that they had targeted us. That they had been so close to invading our home. Relief that someone out there had been watching, ready to protect us. Even when we didn't know we needed it. Haley squeezed my hand again. I told you to trust it, she whispered. For the first time since the nightmare started, I let out a shaky laugh. Half from nerves, half from gratitude. We were alive. We were safe. And in that moment, the bond between us felt stronger than it ever had before. Even after the burglars were taken away and the flashing lights dimmed, the night didn't feel real. My family stood outside together, wrapped in blankets that the officers had handed us. Shivering not just from the cool air, but from the shock of it all. The safety of our home, something we had always taken for granted, had nearly been shattered. My mom clung to me and Haley like she never wanted to let go. Her eyes were wet. Her voice shaky. I had no idea. We were sitting there laughing, and all the while they were right outside. She broke into sobs against my shoulder, the weight of her fear finally spilling out. My dad, normally so calm and steady, looked rattled. He shook his head over and over, muttering, I should have known. I should have noticed something. For the first time, he looked vulnerable in a way that unsettled me. I squeezed his arm. There was no way you could have known. They were quiet, waiting for the right moment. None of us could see it. But someone out there did. Haley nodded. If it wasn't for those texts. If we hadn't listened. She trailed off, her voice breaking. But we all knew what she meant. The officers explained everything again. How the burglars had been stalking homes in the neighborhood for weeks, studying routines, waiting for the perfect opportunity. They had been minutes away from forcing their way in when the police closed in. Our house had been chosen because it looked calm, predictable, and full of people distracted by dinner. The thought made my skin crawl. When the officers finally left, we sat back down at the dinner table. But the food sat untouched. None of us had an appetite. The laughter from earlier felt like it belonged to another life. The house, once warm and safe, now seemed fragile, like a bubble that could burst at any moment. Mom reached across the table, her hands trembling as she took mine. Lena, Haley. You saved us. If you hadn't trusted those messages, I don't know what would have happened. Haley gave a soft laugh. We didn't save us, Mom. Someone out there was watching. We just had the sense to listen. Her words stuck with me. For hours afterward, I replayed the night in my head. The buzz of my phone. The icy dread when I read the first message. The way Haley mouthed, smile, while danger pressed in on us. I realized how fragile safety really is. How fast normal life can crack open. Lying awake that night, I kept hearing the officer's words. If you had panicked or tried to run, it could have gone very differently. That thought chilled me. In those moments, every instinct screamed at me to shout. To warn my parents. To fight against the fear. But staying calm, trusting the unseen hand guiding us, had kept us alive. It's strange how trust works. We trusted a stranger behind a screen more than we trusted our own senses. And it was the right call. That night taught me that sometimes survival means surrendering control. Following instructions when everything inside you wants to do the opposite. In the days that followed, our family changed. My dad installed cameras and reinforced every door and window. My mom called neighbors to check on them. Forging bonds she hadn't before. Haley and I grew closer too. We had always been sisters. But that night made us teammates in survival. She had steadied me when I wanted to fall apart. And I realized I'd never forget that. Even now, months later, I can still feel the phantom buzz of that first text in my hand. It's a reminder of how quickly life can flip. How danger can creep closer than you think. And how one decision, to trust, to stay calm, can change everything. If you take anything from my story, let it be this. The ordinary moments in life are more fragile than they seem. Cherish them, but don't take them for granted. And when life tests you with fear, Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is keep your face steady. Trust the guidance you're given. And walk forward, even when every nerve in your body screams to run. That night, a family dinner nearly turned into tragedy. Instead, it became a story of survival, trust, and the bond between two sisters who refused to break. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more powerful true stories. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'd love to hear your thoughts.